It's been a tradition here at the Voice of College Football for a long, long time on Saturday nights in season to take your calls and wrap up the weekend. And what a weekend it was in college football. Tons of results, a few upsets to talk about, and the ever-changing college football playoff landscape right here at the Voice of College Football. Leave those comments, questions there in the chat. I will be here all night if you would want me to, talking college football like we used to. We used to do these Saturday night shows for 4 or 5 hours till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And we would love to do that again based on your support. So we do appreciate you being here, and we will take your calls after we run down all the games of the day and all the final scores. The most important thing I will tell you tonight is what? Of course, the most important thing is that the Amazon links in the description section of this video and all the videos. And when you shop on Amazon, please use the link that we provide. In no way are we encouraging you to shop on Amazon, but when you do, like most Americans, please use the link that we provide. It helps us grow and build the channel. Otherwise, we probably won't be here. All right, let's get to the scores, and let's get to the landscape, the standings, and everything that happened in Week 12. Before we take your calls, let's see who's hanging around. Kai's here. Hawaii playing right now. Can't wait to see that score. Luke's here. Good to see Alex. Rob as well. And so many others. Pretzel Logic. Great football today. Yes, it was. In particular, the two games that I focused on at noon and 3:30. Wow. Huge games, big games, great stuff. David, good to see you. Jim R., thanks for the support as always. Davies here. Roll Tide, and they did tonight with a workmanlike win over LSU. David got us to a second hour. Thank you for that, David. It is so much appreciated. Thank you so much for that. All right. The Gators suck, getting stampeded by the Cats. Let's get to the scores. In action as we speak. Man, I must love you guys. I could be watching Nebraska and UCLA from the Rose Bowl. Huskers lead 28-14. It's almost halftime. No, it's actually 2 minutes left in the third quarter. I've actually no idea what's happened in this game. I've been watching other games. But TJ Lateef, I see, is 10 for 10 with 3 touchdown passes. So he definitely benefited from increased reps. Definitely increased reps for TJ Lateef this week, and Nebraska did not lay down, even though they had their college football playoff aspirations fold last week. And I think this should be a lesson to all of us, not necessarily me, because I don't buy into this business about teams folding and giving up for the season, because there are so many more examples of teams that just play out the string. And when I say that, I mean they actually play it out. They fight, they scratch, they claw. They play just as hard, they try, and they're invested, and they give great effort. For as much as we dog on these athletes to a certain extent about being consumed with money and making financial decisions, which last I checked, I think we all do in our lives, more than teams giving up, they show up like Penn State did today and like Nebraska did tonight. UNLV, Colorado State, Rebels lead 28-10. That game is in the third quarter. Oregon State leads Sam Houston 17-7. We've got Hawaii on top of San Diego State 14-3. San Diego State on top of the Mountain West. All right. Earlier today, Ohio State defeated Purdue 34-10. Indiana over Penn State 27-24. What a game in Happy Valley. There were two upsets that I thought about predicting that I did not. And even though one of them would have not been correct, I still wished I would have gone ahead and selected it, because this Indiana-Penn State game did not surprise me at all. I came that close to picking Penn State to win the game outright. Really, the talent on the two teams is pretty equal. If not, maybe Penn State might be better. Don't have their starting quarterback, don't have their head coach from the beginning of the season, and obviously playing with a lot less incentive. But we saw what Penn State brought, but Indiana put together that last-minute drive that was so spectacular. And maybe Fernando Mendoza won the Heisman Trophy tonight. That is possible, because for me, when it comes to the Heisman Trophy, there are three big factors. One would be winning, two, stats, three, memorable moments. And he certainly had many this afternoon, and especially the one to Omar Cooper that won the game for Indiana in Happy Valley. Texas A&M over Mizzou 38-17. People will still continue to discredit Texas A&M's undefeated record, but they went to Columbia and did what a few teams can do, and that's beat Missouri by 3 touchdowns in Columbia. Bama on top of LSU 20-9. I watched most of that game. Georgia beat Mississippi State 41-21. People called that a trap game. Ole Miss beat the Citadel 49-0. Texas Tech, I watched this one, defeated BYU 29-7. These teams, at least on this day, and I believe there's other evidence of it, are not close. Texas Tech is the best team in the Big 12 by a decided margin. I enjoyed Oregon and Iowa. Did this game not come down to basically exactly what we thought it was going to be? I picked Iowa to win. They did not quite get it done, as Oregon had a walk-off field goal, 18-16. What a remarkable game. That was a fun game as well. So to watch Penn State and Indiana, a Big Ten Classic, followed up by Oregon, Iowa, was truly a treat. Notre Dame all over Navy without their starting quarterback, 49-10. Wake Forest defeated Virginia 16-9, a huge result in the ACC, as was Cal defeating Louisville 29-26. Vanderbilt defeated Auburn, and for my own predictions, I hate when this happens. I took Auburn and 6.5 points, so they went to overtime, so I basically got it right in all practical ways. I got my prediction right. However, Vandy wins in overtime by 7. Another half-point loss for me. Miami defeats Syracuse 38-10. I missed that one by a half a point as well. Okay, here was the other game that I came this close to predicting an upset. I just had a feeling. Washington, Wisconsin. This one did not surprise me. Washington's a much better team. Yes, Wisconsin has shown basically no life. I just had a feeling. I did not pull the trigger. However, Wisconsin defeats Washington, and the Huskies' playoff chances are null and void, gone. 13-10. SMU 45, Boston College 13. Bill O'Brien's team is horrible. West Virginia at home against Colorado 29-22. James Madison. Statistic I saw this afternoon based on ESPN's metrics gives James Madison, at least at the start of the day, about a 30% chance of making the playoff. It's like my monitor's dying. Southern Miss 27, Arkansas State 21. We've got Temple going to Army, losing by a point. Mizzou State 21, Liberty 17. Bowling Green goes to Eastern Michigan, loses 27-21. Rice 24, UAB 17. Rutgers 35, Maryland 20. Delaware defeated Louisiana Tech 25-24. FIU 56, Middle Tennessee 30. Jacksonville State 30. UTEP 27. East Carolina 48, Charlotte 22. FAU 40, Tulsa 21. Duke, this gets even more intriguing to me because Duke lost tonight to UConn. I did not know that. Lost 37-34. This obviously does not affect Duke in the ACC standings. Duke still has one loss. Actually, tonight, this is how crazy college football can be. Tonight was a good night for Duke football. This outcome tonight's results in the ACC would have been worse for Duke if they would have won their football game and had Louisville and Virginia win their games. Think about that for a second. It would have been better for Duke football. It's better this way that they lost their game and had Louisville and Virginia lose. Duke is tied for first place in the ACC, and they lost tonight to UConn. Arizona 24, Kansas 20, Iowa State 20, TCU 17. Kennesaw State defeated New Mexico State 24-21. The Chanticleer is my favorite team. And if you're not aware of why Coastal Carolina is my favorite team, check out the video. You can look it up on this very channel. Coastal Carolina, my favorite team, is now 6-3. So they become bowl eligible. I will be happy to watch my favorite team play during the postseason, probably in the some bowl game that probably is being named right now. Coastal Carolina 40 and Georgia State 27. Bill Belichick, 2 straight in the ACC. UNC defeats Stanford 20-15. Louisiana 42 and Texas State 39. Air Force defeats San Jose State 26-16. It's kind of funny to see Clemson and Florida State and know that that game was completely meaningless. Usually a huge game in the ACC. Traditionally, over the last 15 years, this has been the most important game in the ACC. Clemson wins 24-10. Kentucky throttles Florida 38-7. Florida does not have a head coach. Does that really matter? That doesn't matter. They're looking for a coach. The players are just out there. Who knows what happened in that game? It did not matter. Utah State 51 and Nevada 14. And there we have it for the night. I was going through all those scores thinking, how in the world did I used to do a 4 or 5 hour show here? And then I would read through every box score and recap overnight and still go to church in the morning. All right. Appreciate you being here, the voice of college football. Let's get to the super chats and to the calls. And once again, thank you so much for David and him extending us an hour. Go Buckeyes. Thank you, David, for your contribution. Ohio State is now 9-0. 9-0? Yes. Minnesota Dave's here. Does anybody want to win the ACC? Well, tonight was a good night again for Duke. And also a good night for Miami, who is still behind all those teams that are tied for first place. But they have a shot now. Miami does have a shot. Once again, thank you for the contribution, Dave. And then we got Ryan, Big Ten upset for Wisconsin. Finally. Yes. All right, let's get to the calls. We got Rob leading us off tonight. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. This was a fun week of college football, and it started yesterday. That USC game. I don't know if you watched that.
Yes, I did.
But man, that was fun to watch. I mean, we had a fake punter tricking the defense to throw a first down. We had a quarterback running the ball in like a running back and then getting a tackle to get a touchback at the end of that. Was at the end of the first half or something like that, or third quarter. I mean, if you would have asked somebody what the momentum play of the USC game that was going to swing the momentum in USC's favor was, the quarterback throwing a pick and then subsequently getting a massive tackle, I mean, that's college football in a nutshell right there. That was fun.
Yeah, the only thing not fun about it for me, again, I took Northwestern in 14.5, and they should have been able to take care of that. But that was a 14-point swing right there. But yeah, it was fun. And the punting situation, if nobody's aware out there, yeah, the USC punter on a particular fourth down play threw a dime to convert a fourth and whatever the distance. And then it was later determined that that was the third string quarterback, Brock Heward's nephew, wearing, I didn't know that. Well, no, they had double 80s. That's right. They had double 80s. And it also fooled the broadcasting team, who the play-by-play announcer, Brock Heward's former play-by-play partner. I can't think of the guy's name. He's one of the best play-by-play announcers in college football. One of those deals where hardly anybody knows the guy's name. Jason Vanetti, yes, and but I think he's one of the best.
Yeah. That was a fun start, Friday night, and then going in today. I mean, I was working when the Indiana game was on, but wow, what a finish! I mean, I'll say this about Indiana. I don't think they're quite as good as a lot of people are saying. Like they're not, like they've been very dominant, but then you look at their two games against like really top competition, Iowa and Penn State. And Penn State, obviously, they're full of talent. So some people are going to say, well, Penn State was garbage, so that win looks really bad for Indiana. Well, no, they're not garbage. They're a stock full of talent. They just haven't put it together this season. They're a wild card, as you like to say. So it was both an impressive win for Indiana, but a little bit like, okay, they were pushed to the brink. But this is the kind of win that you need to get leading into the playoffs. Like, you need to be tested like this. So it was very good for Indiana to have this kind of game on their resume.
Yeah, I think it is too. Better than just bludgeoning everyone and not knowing what it feels like to be tested in the final couple minutes of a game, especially on the road. So I think that this is going to work in Indiana's favor. Obviously, coaches like this, they like to leave with the win, but also some things to work on that they can throw in the player's face to say, hey, we got stuff to work on. We barely made it, and we did this wrong and that wrong and this wrong and that wrong. But it was fun to watch Curt Cignetti after the game. This guy humors me as he does most people. He is some odd combination of bully, tough guy, awkward clown. It all mixes together in some strange way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I have a lot more respect for Cignetti this season than I did last year. Last year, he just came across as incredibly arrogant without anything to back it up. And he admits, I watched like a video where he admitted, like, yeah, I was really just doing that because Indiana had a loser mentality this whole time, and I needed to come in there, and I felt like I needed to like be brash and like get the team fired up and believe that we could So I get what he was doing, and I respect him a lot more for it. He is a little bit more mellow in terms of compared to last year, but he's still, like you said, he's still got some outrageous takes here and there. But you can't deny what the guy's accomplished and if actually, did you hear the news today with Northwestern's loss yesterday to USC and Indiana's win today? Northwestern has overtaken IU as the losingest power FBS program.
I did not hear that. So is that based on winning percentage or number of losses?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to look at that. But I just saw the headline earlier, and I think it's number of losses, I believe. Okay. But I'll have to get back to you on that one. But either way, I thought that was like an interesting tidbit from an Indiana team to an Illinois team. So there we go. Midwest football at its finest. But yeah, yes, Michael says it's based on losses. Okay, thank you, Michael.
Because I saw a graphic that was posted by, I think it was CBS. I think it was during the Indiana-Oregon game, that since Curt Cignetti took over at Indiana, and whatever their record is now, 11-2 plus 10-0. Let's see, he's 21-2. So whatever it was a few weeks ago, 18-2, that Indiana had the worst winning percentage of all time when he took over, and they went from 0.420 to 0.424, and they eclipsed maybe Northwestern and somebody else, Wake Forest, because it's quite the battle for last place in winning percentage. So they were all so close that only his 23 games were able to bump Indiana 2 spots in winning percentage.
Yeah, that's a trophy you don't want, Mark. You don't want that one. So good for Signetti in Indiana. But yeah, what a couple. I mean, there were some interesting games. I mean, Texas Tech, very impressive win against BYU.
Yes.
I was able to watch some of that game, and Texas Tech's defense just looks very stout. And that's going to be a team, if they can hold it together and get into the playoffs, I don't think there's going to be anybody that wants to play that team wherever they're ranked. Not saying they're like the best team in the country, but they're gonna put up a fight, that's for sure. Georgia had an impressive win. Mississippi State's offense is good, and that was a good win for Georgia. Probably their best win in quite some time. So grats to Georgia. Who else did I want to shout out real quick? Carson Beck catching a touchdown wasn't on my radar this week, but hey, there you go. Yeah, Oregon squeaked out a win over Iowa. I think Iowa deservingly proved their committee ranking there at 20 because they gave Oregon all they could handle. Although with Washington losing today, that's it's a bit weird, but whatever. It's Washington. I don't know what they're doing over there. But yeah, pretty fun week. Unfortunately, Notre Dame finally gave up 100 yards on the ground to someone, although it still wasn't a running back. But yeah, Braxton Woodson, the quarterback for Navy, first player to get 100 yards on Notre Dame this year. That's unfortunate. So, but still a fun game to watch after the second half, at least.
The Iowa loss brings into question, and for the playoff, it doesn't matter. But in terms of the rankings approach and the philosophy, because I always thought that even though it's traditional thinking that you lose a game, you basically almost drop regardless. It doesn't matter who you lose to, how close it is, where you're ranked, you're going to drop. You could be the number 15 team in the country and lose to the number 1 team in the country, and you're going to lose. You're going to lose spots. It doesn't make much sense to me. The number 20 team in the country is playing the number 9 team in the country. They're supposed to lose that game. So if anything, to me, Iowa shows that they might be better than the number 20 team in the country. So I am expecting them to drop in the rankings, but it doesn't make sense.
You bring up a great point, Mark. And I thought, I thought I wanted to talk about this at some point, I think like earlier in the year, and I just forgot, but you totally nailed it right there. I mean, anytime a team is the underdog and they are projected to lose, and everyone in Vegas thinks they're going to lose and whatever, and they put up a fight, like Iowa did, what's the point of dropping them? I mean, they obviously were expected to lose.
Yeah, and they're substantiate. They're more. That is more of a confirmation of their value than them going out and beating Northwestern by 10 points.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, and I'll say this for Northwestern, they're scrappy, right? They're a little bit better than some people give them credit for. But yeah, that's a good. You're right. No, I mean, you can't. Like Notre Dame, they're never, and this is why I hate the Navy game, because I love Navy, respect the troops, all that, respect the history, whatever. But like that's such a bad game for Notre Dame to play every year because you don't get any credit for beating them, no matter how hard they are to stop the run against. I mean, they are a good running team. They put up 200 yards against Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's run defense has been great as of late. And like I said, that's the first 100-yard rusher they've given up. But that result is not going to impress anyone. It would be much better for Notre Dame to play, I don't know, like, a top 10 team or top 15 team in place, like try to schedule somebody a little bit better. But I digress. And a lot of Notre Dame fans are going to hate me for my take on the Navy game. So I'll just avoid that. But anyway, Mark, I know you got a lot of callers on, and so I'll let you get to that. But awesome night of college football. And as always, look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So Luke is letting us know that Fernando, every time I say Mendoza's name, for some reason, there must be some Francisco Mendoza. I'm trying to think an old-time baseball player. Usually if I mix up names, I default to like a 1980s baseball player, but I cannot think of a Francisco Mendoza. But for some reason, that is the name that starts to come out of my mouth every time I say Fernando Mendoza. Anyway, Mendoza is the clear Heisman winner. I would have to look at the numbers. I'm not saying that you're wrong, Luke. I don't quite see it that way, but I don't know that he's a clear Heisman winner, but certainly. Now let's get past the Heisman winner being the best player in college football, because that's what we are supposed to be voting on. That's what is supposed to be the award, the best player in college football. I find that a little difficult to determine. He's probably not the best player in college football. It should be to the player that means the most, who is also one of the best. Let's say is one of the best, but also is the most impactful. So I am not disagreeing with you, Luke. Don't take me wrong. I'm not disagreeing with you. I would vote for him today. I would vote him off the top of my head. I would vote him 1, Julian Sayin 2, and Ty Simpson 3, unless I'm missing somebody. Those would be my top 3 right now. I just don't know if he's a clear winner. But yes, that is going to, that drive and that last throw, which obviously was a ridiculous catch, but it was also an excellent throw. Now, if he was standing in a clean pocket, it wouldn't have been a great throw because it was high, but he had like 2 Penn State players in his ribs while he was throwing that. I don't even know if he was on a back foot. He practically had 2 feet in the air throwing it as he was, practically vaulting toward the ground. So it was a tremendous throw. The play before that was exceptional down to the 5, or the not the play right before it, but the play that got Indiana inside the 5 to Charlie Becker. If it weren't for the final catch to Omar Cooper, that would have been remembered as the play of the game, because Charlie Becker made a remarkable catch too to get them down to the 5. But anyway, remarkable win by Indiana, and I give Penn State a lot of credit, even though if you watch my video in outlining the game, I do think that Penn State got too conservative and gave it away and opened the door for Indiana and set them up for the final drive. All right, we got Trey stopping by. Trey, what's going on?
Well, what's up, Mark?
Not too much. How you doing?
I'm all right. The first time I would say I actually like Mendoza in the Heisman. That's actually a good pick, but I will take it a step further. I'd say Marcel Reed, or you want to talk about just impact on a team? It'll be the North Texas quarterback, Metmaker, or whatever his name is.
Yes,
that would be. If you want to talk about impact for the team, that guy, he does a great job for North Texas. He is lighting them up this year, 3rd and passing. It's wonderful how he's doing it, and they might take him to the American Conference Championship.
Yeah. He should not win the Heisman, though.
Really?
No. The best player in the country does not perform against the 90th best teams in the country every week.
This is true, though. I ain't gonna lie about that. But hey, his impact is unbelievable, though.
Correct. Yes, I'm not taking anything away from him, but he's just playing for the wrong school.
Yeah. Imagine when he gets into a bigger school. Man, he's already a factor as it is. Imagine if he goes to like LSU or the Buckeyes. Imagine that. But the first time I would say my Gators, the wheels have fallen off. The wheels has fallen off for the Gators. It just we're not going to fold like everybody else says. I think we're going to play hard anyway, but I think the wheels have completely fell off now.
But what happened? Wait a minute. I'm trying to weed through what you're saying here, Trey. You said you're not going to fold, but the wheels have come off.
Yeah. So they're going to try hard regardless. I think they're going to be trying hard, but talking about the next 3 victories is going to be hard. Like, I don't see a way versus Ole Miss. I don't see a way versus Tennessee. And I don't see a way versus Florida State either. We're not going to make it to a bowl game.
So
I
they
think
didn't fold tonight?
I don't know what that was. If you saw DJ Lagway, he kept drifting to the right. I don't even know where he was drifting to. He couldn't set his feet. Every time he threw an incompletion, it was a damn interception. Basically, every incompletion he had was basically an interception. It was terrible. He got benched, and I'm glad we got a backup quarterback. He has a lot of promise. Hopefully next year we'll start him. But DJ, I don't know what was worse, watching DJ throw interceptions for the last 3 drives of the half, or the defense is just that bad, and they just gave up hope. And I don't know what that was, but 4 or 5 turnovers before the half was not the idea we thought. That was pretty horrific, and getting blown out by Kentucky. We thought we can be better than Kentucky and beat Kentucky. That was actually a win we really needed to have. And also the win versus Florida State to get us to a bowl game. 6-6 was pretty salvageable. But hell, you can't even beat Kentucky. I can understand like maybe losing to them by 3. But when you lose about 31 to Kentucky, there's an issue. And Billy Napier is really – the culture over there really turned out really bad. It seemed like DJ didn't learn anything. He didn't learn anything. And I think this is going to be the downhill spiral of people starting to opt out or going to the transfer portal now, in my opinion.
See, I don't think that they really lose anything toward the future by whatever happens in these games, whether they compete hard, whether they pull off a win, whether they pull off 3 wins, whether they get blown out 50-0 every week. It's all about the new coach, the new coaching staff, what type of credibility he has with recruits and transfer portal possible additions candidates. I don't think I think all of this just gets washed away. These are just meaningless games.
Do you want some momentum, though?
Momentum from what?
At least come out at the end of the season with a couple wins.
No, you got a new coach coming in. He's the momentum.
But the players will be returning, well, some of them.
Yeah, but he's going to have nothing to do with these games.
This is true. I can't argue that either.
Nope.
I can see both sides.
It's a reset.
Now, the Lane Kiffin thing, I don't think that's going to happen either. I'm starting to fade from that a little bit more every day. No, I'm serious. I gave up on that. I want John Gruden. I'm all in. I'm all in for John if he wants to pick up the phone for Florida. But
I took a call the other night. I'm trying to think when that was. I took a call from somebody, and I wish he would have been around because they brought up John Gruden, and they were going off on what a ridiculous idea it is that some people have that John Gruden would be a good hire.
What was that text? ... You know? Yeah, my blurring bubble was kind of blank on that. That was a terrible take. John Gruden's great. I would love to have him. He got the enthusiasm. It looked like we're not having enthusiasm as a team right now because we surely didn't look like it with 38-7 loss. It looked like DJ's lost out there and the defense was lost. We need some John Gruden for sure. And plus, he's a winner. He took the Raiders to the Super Bowl. Not Super Bowl, I meant to the playoffs numerous times. He took the Buccaneers and won the Super Bowl, and he had the Raiders before he got fired to a playoff path. So he's a winner. Now, recruiting, we don't know that. It could be a flop like Bill Belichick, but he ain't no egotistical guy like Bill Belichick. You can't compare one guy to another guy. He complete 180 from the scale with their personalities. Bill looks like he's just like neutral.
Yes, but I'm sure that John Gruden does not have an ego.
No, he don't. Oh, he's too involved in loving football and helping people, man. I don't know what that's about. But so The second thing I realized in the Big 12, Texas Tech was right. I love Texas Tech. I enjoy it. My girlfriend loves Texas Tech, so we watched it. And she was all about the defense, and they did wonderful. BYU looked like they saw deer in the headlights. They couldn't move the ball, and when they did, they turned it over. It looked like they just got – it's like Texas Tech is like a wall, and they ran straight into the wall, and they had no answer. Texas Tech could have ran up the score more if they didn't settle for field goals. It could have been worse than it was.
Really, the only thing BYU had going for them in that game is that they did put a lot of pressure on Baron Morton. They had 4 sacks in the first half. Their defense held up pretty well, but there was really no comparison between those two teams. Texas Tech, if today was a huge indication of where these two teams stand, Texas Tech is by far the best team in the Big 12. They were dominant in that game.
Oh my gosh, this was a statement win. Now the Utah win was good. We all agree with that. That was impressive. No one dominates Utah the way they did this year. When the last time you seen a Kyle Whittingham team got dominated and got bullied? I had never seen that. And then they came out versus BYU that plays bully, and they dominated them. I'm at both sides of the ball. And yeah, you got a couple of sacks, but it didn't really happen later in the game, and Texas Tech took some advantages. I think they are overall the dominant team in the Big 12 right now. And I think Cincinnati is going to go straight into the Big 12 championship too. All right.
Texas Tech and Cincinnati in the Big 12 championship?
I think so.
All right.
I think we figured out what BYU is. They're just like a Virginia almost. They've been hanging on the edge sometimes, man. They be having these slow starts sometimes, and they've been living on the edge, and they found out a better team than they were, and they got dominated. And they were not even there. And Virginia too, they finally got caught. And now it makes me wonder about Virginia, Mark. What's going to happen in the ACC now?
Well, it's almost, Trey, like you talked to somebody a couple of weeks ago that was showing you the schedules that said these teams are not going to be able to make it through. They're not good enough to win all these games, even if they look like they have easy schedules. And lo and behold, we got Louisville losing to Cal, and we got Virginia losing to Wake Forest.
These are the most.
That's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah. And now, let me say this. Big 12 and the ACC is very exciting this year. It makes me happy to talk about something in SEC and Big 10. I think we know who the favorites in those conferences by now. Is Ohio State, Indiana, and Alabama, and, Georgia. I wouldn't say Texas. I think Georgia, they proved to me that they can dominate, and they surely did versus a trap game versus Mississippi State. And I think they put it all together, and I think Georgia's on a roll, and that's going to be dangerous for the later in the playoffs. But in the ACC, you got Duke. They lost to UConn. Makes me wonder. Yeah, that's not too bad of a loss, but if you want to be in the conference championship and stuff, and you want to be looked at, that was not a good loss.
That is a bad loss.
That was, oh my God. I thought they were better than that now.
But I don't know if you heard what I said at the beginning of the show, Trey, but this was a good night for Duke football.
Yeah, it was. Even though with a bad loss, a lot of teams.
Yeah, because their loss doesn't matter.
Yeah.
For the ACC. So this actually was a good – tonight was better for Duke football losing and watching Virginia and Louisville lose than if they would have had a win tonight and seen Louisville and Virginia win.
Oh yeah,
that's better for them.
They have an incredible timing right now. They're beating people they should beat in the ACC and shouldn't, but they're losing to weird teams like UConn and blown out by Illinois. But somehow they're right there in the ACC standings, just watching. And now I don't think Virginia's going to make it to the ACC championship, Mark. They're living on the edge too much. And I knew they're going to get caught someday. I thought when they're going to get caught was the Virginia Tech game. That could be true too. But Louisville too. And so I'm thinking it's just going to be Georgia Tech. And I don't know about Miami. I think you said something about Miami's back in it. I don't think they're back in it, Mark. I think 2 losses really put them back. And
Sure, they're back in it.
there's too many. Well, you still got Pitt and Georgia Tech. Whoever wins that game probably going to go to the ACC championship. Then you got SMU in there. I think they phase Pitt or something like that. But I don't know how.
Miami plays Pitt. They can knock them out of the way.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I don't even know about Georgia Tech either. Now, there's too many matchups in the next 2 weeks to figure them out, Mark. It's a cluster, It's
No
a cluster.
doubt.
And I'm not sure what's going to make of this. I'm betting it will be Georgia Tech, but also I would not be surprised if Pitt will go to the ACC championship if they beat Georgia Tech, and they should. Because I think Pitt's been on fire lately. They're dangerous. I think every ACC team is a bloodbath like we thought the American Conference was, Mark. It's a bloodbath. And I think we figured out the Big 12, Big 10, and SEC is these 2 conferences, the American and the ACC. We can't figure them out because they can't go all the way. You got 2 weeks left, and we still haven't figured it out who's going to go to these conferences. It's too wide open.
All right, Trey. Well, thanks for being here.
All right,
Give us a
thank you,
call
Mark.
this week.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Let's keep it revved up, get to these other calls. And I find that fascinating for some reason, situations like that where Duke loses tonight, but it was a good night for Duke football. It was much better for them. Didn't matter what happened to them. It was all about Virginia lost and Louisville lost. And we now, I believe, have a 5-way tie for first place in the ACC. Good stuff. Michael Hogue stopping by. Michael, what's going on?
I'm just frustrated, sir.
Well, you didn't expect to win that football game, did you?
No.
Okay.
But I'm just tired of Purdue being a doormat, man. They had their bright spots. I knew they were going to lose today, but I just wonder when they're going to ever, because they're like, I think they're like 2-20 in their last 30 conference games or something like that. I don't even know if they're going to be able to win. I know they're probably not going to win the conference game this year, and they might not win next year. It's just, I'm just so frustrated, man.
Whoa, Michael. Stop it. Don't talk about next year. You have no idea what's going to happen next year. What do you mean they may not win a conference game next year?
They don't have the killer instinct, Mark. There's been 4 games this year.
They are so much better this year than they were last year. So much better.
Well, sure. But they can't close the deal out, is what I'm saying.
They're at least competing.
Sure.
They competed in 2 games last year in the conference? And now they're competing every week.
Yeah, sure. But what do you think about the end of the IU game today?
I thought it was remarkable. I thought that Penn State should have been able to call up a better play on 3rd and 10. I knew that they were being too conservative, that there was too much time left, and Indiana had 3 timeouts to use on defense to stop the clock. So I could see it coming. So I didn't like that part of it. It was remarkable by Indiana. I give them all the credit, and I don't blame the Penn State players. I just think, again, this is when coaches
overcoach,
get too conservative, and they believe that with a lead with 4 minutes left in the game and a 4-point lead, that they can just run the ball and punt and leave it up to their defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand what kind of criticism they'll get for throwing incomplete passes, but there are ways to draw up very safe 80 to 90% completion percentage passes and hang on to the ball and run out the clock.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And stuff like that. No, I'm not surprised about Iowa. And, I'm surprised about Oregon and stuff like that. But everybody says like that. I mean, yeah, they've had 2 close games this year. And if I'm not mistaken, doesn't every team each year have a couple tough games?
Yes.
And Ohio State had one the season opener against Texas. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
I don't know. They got Rutgers and then Maryland. So change they won't be and stuff like that. But something tells me everybody thinks I don't know what's going to happen with Michigan. Some people, Ohio State fans, think they're just going to unleash horses on Michigan. I don't know. But if that's a close game too, what's that really say about Ohio State? Everybody saying Indiana is like they're not that good team because they've had close games.
Who says this? When you say they say this, who are we talking about?
If you've been reading the chat, they've been talking about saying OIU is close, they don't deserve and stuff like that. If you would have been reading the chat and stuff, so
I once went through every contending team in college football, went through their scores and their seasons going back through time. And you have to go all the way back to 1995 Nebraska to find a team that did not play a close game the whole season.
Okay.
So everybody plays close games. Indiana may eventually win the national championship. Who knows?
Sure.
I don't think they will, but they could.
Yeah. We'll see. It's a one game mentality at a time.
Are you rooting for Indiana?
I mean, I gotta be honest with you. Like I said, I'm a lifelong Purdue fan, but I'm an IU. I mean, my degree's from IU, and it's just not. I'm not rooting for IU. I think they're not getting the respect they deserve. And yeah, it's like what have they done before the last 2 years? I think people are sleeping on IU, not saying hey they don't and stuff like that. So,
well, the respect that they've earned should be based on this season.
Wouldn't it be based off of last season too?
Okay, my point is that we should be evaluating every team based on this season, and that's all that should matter. We're not talking about historic rankings or anything.
Yeah, sure. Hey, I don't know. Did you want to answer that? I was talking with Kano and I think with Kai. They think that the ACC doesn't get an automatic bid for whoever wins the conference. I thought whoever wins the Power 4 conferences get into an automatic spot.
Yeah. So what they're alluding to is that the top 5 conference champions in the rankings go to the playoffs. So just like last year, in which Boise State out of the Mountain West ranked higher than Clemson, they got the bye. So the top 5 conferences will be, you would think, the 4 major conferences and then the group of 5 that makes it most likely the American Conference, but whomever it is. But in this case, it could be if Duke wins the ACC. So Duke has 4 losses right now. So they are going to have to win the rest of their games in the ACC to get to the ACC championship game. So they're still going to be an 8-4 football team. So I understand where their heads are at, and it's a great question because in theory, it could happen where there are 5 conference champions ahead of the ACC champion, meaning the other 3 conferences in the power ranks, and then let's say the American Conference champion and James Madison, who is currently they're just on the fringe of being ranked. They won again tonight, and they are 9 or 10-1. So all those teams could be ranked as conference champions ahead of Duke in theory. But just think, if Duke wins out, and they have to win out now, they're done with non-conference games. They can't lose any more games. They will have to win out to get to the ACC championship game. Unless there's just complete carnage, I guess they could lose one more game possibly and go to the ACC championship game at 6-2 in the conference. That would put them at 7-5. Then they'd win the conference championship game and be 8-5. So yes, there is a possibility that the American Conference champion and the James Madison team would be ranked ahead of an 8-5 Duke team. But most likely they've got to go 9-4 to win the ACC, and they would scoot ahead of James Madison, I would think.
Yeah.
But the possibility is there.
What was wrong with Alabama tonight?
What was wrong with them?
Or because I've seen sometimes they literally beat the brakes off of LSU. Sometimes it's a tight game. Offense, from what I was reading and following, wasn't that good tonight.
No, the offense wasn't good. The defense was exceptional, and Garrett Nussmeier got benched sometime in the second half. And yeah, I thought that they played pretty much the type game that I anticipated, and Vegas did as well. They were a 10-point favorite. They won by 11. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. No, they didn't have an exceptional offensive game, but
yeah,
they were fine.
Yep, not bad. And I think the running back for Jackson, I can't remember who the other running back was they had for Ohio State, but they both had a pretty good game today and stuff like that. Now, the thing about last thing before I let you go, is Smith eligible to go to draft?
That's a great question. Don't you? I think you have to have completed at least 3 years.
But does the redshirt year count too?
Now, for some players, they only played 2 years, but they redshirted 1 year.
Yeah.
And he would only be 2 years. He's got to play one more year.
Oh, so he never. I thought he might. I didn't know if he redshirted a year.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
But man, whoever gets him in the NFL is gonna be, man. They're gonna be in for a treat. And watching Shane in person he is good. I will say that though.
Oh, you were at the game today?
Yeah, I was at the game.
Where do you usually sit at these Purdue games?
Where I was at, I had a friend. Sometimes I'll usually sit like in the north end zone, but I had a friend who's a member was in the one of the they was like in the press box, but they was like and sometimes I'll get a field pass to watch a game, but they got this Shively Club, which is like for like a booster club and stuff like that. So I was able to sit inside and watch the game from there today. So
okay, very nice.
Yeah.
As B is letting us know here, Michael, your team there, they messed up my prediction because if they aren't going to win, they might as well just not cover the spread. I took Ohio State to cover the 29.5.
Yeah.
And when did Purdue score the last touchdown? There must have been like a minute left in the game.
Yeah, I think there was like 2 minutes left. It was the only touchdown of the game, and Singleton threw a touchdown pass. I think it's like the 6th time they've given up a red zone touchdown this year. So, but I don't know. We'll see what happens and stuff like that. All right, I know you got Mr. Greenshield coming up and stuff like that. A few other callers. I am done. Hopefully, Purdue can get it done next weekend. Up in Seattle against Washington.
Okay.
And I don't know how did Washington do today anyway?
They lost to Wisconsin.
You're kidding, right?
No, they lost 13-10.
Wow. So I mean, Michigan State and Purdue are the only winless teams in the conference.
Correct.
Oh, brother.
That is correct. Wisconsin has won. They beat Washington and knocked Washington out of the playoffs.
I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. Anyway,
yeah, but they had a chance.
Yep, and it looked like Nebraska just put the finishing touches on UCLA and stuff like that. And, all right, sir, I will anxiously await your top 25 TAMs for tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, I do as well.
It's going to be interesting. All right,
thanks,
Mark,
Michael.
Take care. Have a good night. Boiler up, man.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Purdue and Washington next week, which is a rematch of the 2001 Rose Bowl and the 2003 or 4 Sun Bowl. There you go. Okay, next up here at the Voice of College Football, we got Coy stopping by. Coy, what's going on?
It's Kai.
Kai. I would say Kai because it's clearly Kai, but I thought the first time I said Kai, people were correcting me in the chat saying it was Koi.
Oh,
Anyway.
well, they were wrong, but that's okay.
Okay. All right. It's pretty,
All right,
yes. AI, Kai, yes.
So Michael already kind of covered what I wanted to talk about, but I wanted to talk about how I think that if Duke goes 8-4, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. Now, I think that
they're going to be 9-4.
Oh, 9-4. Okay. I think the committee, if it was up to me, I wouldn't put them in the playoffs, but I think the committee would, just because I think that's just bad to see the ACC not get a team in. But their one non-conference game, they played Elon, which they won, and then they lost to Illinois, Tulane, they lost to UConn. They're losing to these group of 5 schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if Tulane wins the conference, I think they're going to get in. And I think it's just up to debate between them and James Madison. And I think James Madison, to me, would win that argument.
Yeah, so James Madison would be 12-1 and Duke 9-4. That would be an interesting debate. I personally think that Duke is, well, there's no debate that they would have played a much more difficult schedule.
Yeah.
But they also would have 3 more losses. So
and they have lost to more group of 5 schools.
Yes.
Which I think says something. Because I don't think a team that lost to UConn deserves to go to the playoffs. That's just my opinion.
Just because you lose to UConn, you don't go to the playoffs.
Well, yeah, yes.
Okay. Somebody goes 12-1 and wins the SEC, but they lose to UConn, they shouldn't go to the playoffs.
Well, I think UConn's just not a very good football team. So
I'm not saying they are a good football team.
A pretty
a playoff team you wouldn't think would be losing to UConn. I'm just clarifying your stance that this is like a rule, a playoff rule that you do not lose to UConn.
Not a playoff rule, but I think you'll have to go at least probably undefeated or have like one more game for room for error. But
yeah,
so maybe not quite as the only loss, but they lost 3 other games.
Yeah, the odds that Duke is going to win the ACC are still pretty slight.
Yeah.
But it's worth talking about. I think it's interesting that a power conference could get left out that way.
Yeah, I think that's the only way they would get left out. But also, shout out to Hawaii. They're up 24-6 against San Diego State right now. Very happy about that. Harris has 3 touchdowns right now in the game, and hopefully our defense won't let us down like they did last week.
So Hawaii is 6-3. Most likely they move to 7-3, although this game's still in the second quarter. Is there a particular... I know that Hawaii typically, if they're bowl eligible, goes to the Hawaii Bowl, which seems kind of strange to me that they just kind of stay at home and play another game because bowls are all about, travel and getting to see something you've never seen before. But is there any talk about them going anywhere else to a bowl game?
I'm not sure. The last time I checked, they were projected to go to the Hawaii Bowl, but they've also been an underdog in like every single game. So most people predict them to be like a 6-6 team. I think if they do go 9-3, I think they might get into a better bowl game, but it's still kind of early to tell. Just because the projections is that Hawaii is not going to continue their success, basically.
Yes. So here it is. Like I stated, Hawaii has never been, except for that one trip to play Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, they have always gone to the Hawaii Bowl, which just seems funny that everybody else gets slotted to different bowl games based on conference affiliation and how high they finished in the conference and seeding. But regardless of Hawaii's season, they either don't go to a bowl game, or if they go to a bowl game, they just stay at home, just play in their home stadium and play in the bowl game.
Yeah. In 2020, did they go to the New Mexico Bowl?
Let's see. So, yes, they did go to the New Mexico Bowl in 2020.
Yeah.
That, of course, was a strange season. They beat
It's probably
Houston.
because that Hawaii never usually does good in college football. So if they do go into a bowl game, they're usually 6-6. So they give them a not so good bowl game.
Well, they give them the same bowl game.
Yeah, which is interesting.
That's funny. I thought that was the case. I didn't remember them ever playing in any other bowl game except for the Georgia Sugar Bowl game. But yeah, so then they've got the New Mexico Bowl is the only other game that they've ever played in.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. All right. And Kensei Matsuzawa has not missed a kick yet this year. Still
very
perfect
nice
season.
Should win the Grozo Award, I would think.
Yeah.
Has he won any games?
I think he's won one. I think it was that Stanford game, because the two other games, in fact, last week against San Jose State, they scored a touchdown to cut the lead to 7, and then they got an onside, or they attempted an onside kick attempt, and then he had the ball flat, and then as he kicked it, it was like a different kind of spin, and Hawaii actually got the onside kick, but the ball went out of bounds, kind of like the Vanderbilt game, where Vandy got up and the ball went out of bounds. So Hawaii would have gotten the ball back, which would have given them a chance to beat San Jose State, which was unfortunate. That was pretty cool to see.
Now that I'm looking at the chat, maybe it was Kano who was telling me that his name is pronounced Kanoi. Maybe that was it.
Oh, yeah. I think so.
I think that was it.
Yeah.
All right. Now that we got that squared away with our 2 Hawaii fans.
Yeah. I think there's a couple more. But, yeah, thank you, Mark.
Yeah, appreciate the call. And we will be rooting for the Bows to be playing a postseason game. And I would like to see it somewhere else other than Hawaii, just to be different. But I do enjoy the Hawaii Bowl, because what typically happens is I enjoy Christmas Eve with my family, but then everybody goes to bed and it's still like the second half, or I just go ahead and DVR and watch the entire game really late at night on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing about the Hawaii Bowl lately is that Hawaii's not actually been in it in a couple of years.
No, they have not been in it. All right, Kai, thanks for calling, man.
Yep.
Have a good night. Yep. Yes, that has happened many times in my household. Late Christmas Eve. I stay up, everyone goes to bed, and I think, I'm going to watch this. What would 2 teams be? Like this Houston, Colorado State. I know that they've never played in the Hawaii Bowl against each other, but that type of matchup in the Hawaii Bowl. We will take another night to delve into Hawaii Bowl history, which I believe the first one was in 1984, 83 or 84. There used to be some really good teams. If you look up the history of the Hawaii Bowl, at that point, it was the Aloha Bowl in the early 80s. I remember a Maryland-Washington game. I remember a SMU Notre Dame game. And now my memory might be failing me, because I thought there was like a Penn State Washington. Anyway, okay. Yes. Kanoi, this is the kind of stuff I would love to do. I would love to post a video looking at Hawaii Bowl history. Every season on championship weekend, and then, of course, we've got all the conference championship games on Friday and Saturday. Then we've got the playoff selections and the bowl selections on Sunday. I live for that. And then what I want to do is take all those bowl games and do videos on the histories of all those bowl games, and then videos on every team and their bowl histories. And then we usually have about 3 or 4 bowl matchups that are repeats of previous bowl matchups of teams that have played in bowl games before, and do videos on the histories of those series between those teams. But that is much less likely to happen this year. And I usually get a few of those done, but I can't do all of them because we're talking about like 40 bowl games. So we're talking about like 200 videos. But I usually kind of peck away at a few of those. But this year, my situation is much different, and I will probably do none of those. Just like at one time, I used to do position rankings during the offseason. I would do position rankings of every position in every conference. Big Ten, quarterbacks, running backs, offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers, cornerbacks, safeties, linebackers, defensive linemen, every conference. But we no longer have that time. We had to go to work. All right, in something other than college football. All right, Luke stopping by. Luke, what's going on?
Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
I got you.
So my question is, before I get to my main point, is it crazy to say that a team like East Carolina could win the American Conference?
So we had our guy Steve Helwick on the other night from SB Nation. He is the guy that I lean on when it comes to the Group of Five. He knows more about the Group of Five than anyone I've come across. He's been with SB Nation for a long time, and he travels to. He goes typically to a game Thursday, then gets on a flight, goes somewhere else on Friday, gets on a flight, goes somewhere else on Saturday, and did that again this weekend. And he said the same thing you said the other night when I was sizing up. I had him on maybe Monday, and I was running through all these teams, and he was like, "Do you know who has the best path to the conference championship game?" And I said, "I don't know." And he goes, "East Carolina." So I think you've got something there.
So if East Carolina does make their way,
Yep,
and they make it to the college, or they make it to the conference championship, and let's say they win, does that pretty much not like eliminate them, but does that open it up for a team from the ACC or James Madison to take over East Carolina if they win the conference championship?
Well, first of all, unless this crazy Duke scenario plays out, a team from the ACC is going to be in the college football playoff.
Right. But not the ACC, but of the group of five. If East Carolina wins it, do they go, or does another team go?
It is whoever is the highest ranked of the group of five in the college football playoff rankings. So right now, let's look at East Carolina. So they beat Charlotte today. What are they? 3-0, 3-1, 4-1, 4-2, 5-2, 6-2, 6-3. Yeah, so they're most likely going to be 10-3 at that point if they win the conference championship.
Does the Memphis loss to Tulane on Friday pretty much eliminate them?
Yes. It doesn't eliminate them, but yes, it almost eliminates them.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so what I wanted to talk about is, before I said that Fernando Mendoza is a clear Heisman winner, I think, like you said, you have to measure the Heisman based off stats, performance, and team play. And you look at the teams that Indiana started the year against are the 3 bottom of the barrel teams in college football. I mean, I don't even know who they started with. I know they had Old Dominion, but I can't think of the other 2.
Yeah, Old Dominion by far was the best team. The other 2 were, I'd have to look them up, Kennesaw State, and I don't remember the other one. The other one was horrible too.
Yeah, and those games don't mean anything. You expect Indiana to win. And then after that, for Indiana to go from playing those 3 games to then beating Illinois by 53 points, I mean, like right there, that automatically just like that shows like the growth and the potential of the team. And then for them to go into Eugene, beat Oregon, and I mean Mendoza, yes, he has this last couple of weeks. He's thrown an interception in the last 3 games. He doesn't have the best stats in comparison to Sayin, but if you look like, I think he is the Heisman winner, and like you said, he'd be number 1, and then Sayin would be number 2. I think if they don't give Mendoza the Heisman, they got it wrong. And I mean, I could see how they give it to Sayin, but I think it's not. They have to give it to Mendoza.
Okay. Luke, again, I don't disagree with you. I only disagreed with you saying it's over. He's the clear-cut winner. We still have 3 games to play for most teams, and Indiana has 2 games left to play. So what if Julian Sayin throws for 450 yards and 5 touchdowns against Michigan and leads a drive like Fernando Mendoza just did against Penn State, but he does it against Michigan, with Ohio State losing 38-35 with a minute left in the game, and he throws a game-winning touchdown pass with 3 seconds left?
Then I think if they both had similar game-winning drives, then you'd have to look at the numbers. And I don't know what the exact numbers are off the top of my head, but then I think it becomes a numbers game. And if they have similar numbers, then I think it becomes a matter of like what the team records are and how they've played throughout the year.
And believe me, if Julian Sayin does that against Michigan, for one thing, about 4 to 5 times more people are going to see that live than watched today's Penn State-Indiana game. It's also going to be more recent. And unless people factor in, okay, Julian Sayin's throwing to the best wide receiver core in America, so we're going to knock him down a bit. Unless they're taking that into consideration, I don't know how he doesn't win the Heisman. Now, I just laid out a ridiculous scenario, of course. But I just wanted to match. I was just letting you know, I didn't want you to do what it seems like a third of the Heisman voters do, and that's turn in their ballots before all the games are played. Why in the world would anyone do that?
Right. I mean, I was basing my comment off of what we've seen so far, knowing that there's still 2 or 3 games left. Sayin may play phenomenal in those last 2 or 3 games. I was just saying, like, from when the season started till now, I think that Mendoza has had more. I think he's proven more than Sayin has.
Because of today.
Because of today, and also because of other like games. I mean, Ohio State, and we can't measure the 2 teams because of one game, but one game in particular stands out. Indiana beat Illinois by 53 points. Ohio State only beat Illinois by 18. And granted, Illinois was a new team by then. I mean, they had played more games in the season, and they had like gotten their wheels going. But that one big landslide swing says that, like, to me, it shows that, like, Sayin, he's a great quarterback. I just think that Mendoza is a little bit better, but for sure, I think Mendoza and Sayin are the 2 best quarterbacks in the nation.
You would make a determination on your Heisman vote based on a game that each player played. And let's understand, this is not baseball or boxing or tennis. They are quarterbacks for football teams. And so the score of the football game has to do a lot more with 21 other people on the field than just the quarterback. And your Heisman vote would swing on 2 games where neither team was challenged. Just one completely annihilated them, and the other just coasted home with a fairly easy 3-score win. And that would be your deciding determination of voting for Mendoza over Sayin?
I think it would
Really?
I think it would play into
It would have nothing to do with my
I think
evaluation.
I think it would play into the evaluation, but really it's a number.
Because Fernando Mendoza played better, and we don't even know what the stats were. We could pull up the stats. I know Julian Sayin's stats against Illinois were okay, but they were nothing great. Again, we could pull them up. I think he threw for about 160 yards, and they ran the ball most of the game. They were up by 2 or 3 scores. And Mendoza, the Illinois defense might be the 70th or 80th ranked defense in the country, and we're making a comparison. So Indiana and Ohio State also, I've got to think, well, they both played Penn State. So are we going to compare Julian Sayin's game against Penn State, in which Ohio State won by 24 points, to Fernando Mendoza's game against Penn State, in which they needed a miracle to win the game on the last play of the game?
I think that
why don't we make that comparison?
I think that could weigh into it as well.
Well, it should weigh into it just as much as the Illinois game. It's one football game that they both played against the same team, and Julian Sayin's team did much better against Penn State than Fernando Mendoza's team.
Sure. So we can put that in the evaluation. I think it's not really like based. It's not of like who plays who. I think it's more a matter of who plays better against who.
Yeah. Julian Sayin had a better game against Penn State than Fernando Mendoza did.
Okay. But
I'm guessing Fernando Mendoza had a better game against Illinois than Julian Sayin did.
I think pretty much. I mean, I don't know what the exact numbers are but at the end of the season, I think for sure they're going to be the one and two Heisman candidates for sure. Who do you think could be 3, 4, 5?
Well, I think Jeremiah Smith's going to be high, and I think Ty Simpson's going to be high. Those are the first 2 that come to mind. I think Marcel Reed's going to get a lot of love. I got to think that Dante Moore is still going to be somewhere in the top 10.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who else is. I don't know. I think, it's kind of.
Can't think of any running backs in particular that are having great seasons.
Yeah. I can't think. But one last thing before I go.
Sure.
Do you think Deion Sanders should retire?
Did you put that comment in the chat?
Yeah.
About Deion Sanders?
Yeah.
I think Deion Sanders should be able to do whatever he wants to, as long as Colorado wants to employ him.
Right. I think if they want to employ him, he should stay. But since I heard one of the announcers on one of the ESPN games before Disney and YouTube TV decided to take away ESPN, they said that like Deion's had like 20 some procedures since he's been at Colorado.
Wow.
And in the game against TCU, this is the game that stands out. Deion said that the blood clots in his foot got so bad that he had to take his shoe off and was walking around without a shoe on. And then the next day traveled without the team back to Boulder, had a procedure Tuesday afternoon, and was back at practice Wednesday. I mean, that shows that like how much he wants to be with this team. But at some point, I think he has to consider his health.
Well, that's up to him.
Yeah, obviously it's up to him. But I think at some point he's got to really consider like how much more does he want to do this with.
So I don't disagree with you. I believe that his health is more important than coaching a football team. Absolutely. I totally agree. But I still do believe that that's his decision to make as long as the Colorado University is satisfied with his performance and wants him to be the head coach, then it's up to those two to make that decision.
Right. And lastly, before I go, that Hawaii score, really proud of my Bows. I did not see that coming. I thought we were going to win, but I did not expect us to be up 24-6 at halftime.
Okay. Well, they haven't won yet.
We have not won yet, but this is promising.
Sure. It's a nice first half for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Mark.
All right, Luke.
Have a good
Thanks
day.
for being here. You too.
Yeah.
So I guess we've got Kai, we've got Kanoi, and we've got Luke, the Hawaii fans. And to somebody's question, I believe it was Kanoi's about Hawaii merch. I believe I explained this. I would love, believe me, I would love for you guys to be out there in Hawaii, a place that I would like to get to at some point. You guys should know better than to be counting up wins at halftime. It's only 18 points. It's a college football game. Calm down. You haven't won the game yet. Anyway, that I would love for us to be able to deliver Hawaii merch. Believe me, especially since I've got you three and who knows who else that would be willing to buy some Voice of College Football Hawaii merch. Because we're sure not selling much of the other stuff. So shoot, as far as I'm concerned, cut the Voice of College Football Nebraska merch and replace it with Hawaii merch. Absolutely. I would love to see pictures. You guys could send us in pictures and we could post pictures of you guys out on the islands there with your Voice of College Football Hawaii merch. But at this point, we have used up all of our options in regards to how much merch we can produce. So I don't believe, based on what I'm hearing, that we can pull back the merch that we've already decided to produce in favor of Hawaii Voice of College Football merch. And when you talk about those blood clots in Deion Sanders' feet, it reminds me that, man, sometimes the longer I sit here, goodness gracious, I should take like commercial breaks and walk around. Anyway, so that's the deal with the Voice of College Football Hawaii merch. I would love that. That's actually something that we talked about when we first launched it, is to have anybody who buys it to display it for us, model it, take a picture, send it in, then we can post it on social media. All right. We've got, and when I was asking for other Heisman candidates, some people, including Manny here, said Diego Pavia and also Jeremiah Love with Notre Dame, of course. All right. Defiant stopping by. Defiant, what's going on?
Nothing much, Mark. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine. How are you?
Good. To go back to your rant about the Hawaii Bowl for a second, another underrated bowl game is the Bahamas Bowl. I don't know if you've been keeping up with that, last couple of years or whatever, but they got some pretty interesting matchups. About 10 years. Yeah, so they got some pretty interesting matchups. And I mean, I guess it's kind of like the Hawaii Bowl because it's an exotic destination that not a lot of people can go to. It's barely attended, but it's great watching some MAC schools, Conference USA schools playing those type of games.
No, my point about the Hawaii Bowl is that if Hawaii qualifies for a bowl, they just always go to the Hawaii Bowl. There's no other situation like that. I don't know if they just don't feel that it's worth traveling anywhere. And one of the big perks about going to a bowl game is that you get to go to a nice location, and they're already at a nice location. So why in the world would they want to go to, Frisco, Texas, when they're already in Hawaii? So this is unlike any other bowl situation that exists anywhere.
So according to Wikipedia, I just looked it up right now. It says Hawaii will participate in the Hawaii Bowl if they're eligible. So they automatically will just be playing in the Hawaii Bowl.
Exactly. Yeah. That was my point.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's proven throughout history. Yes. Since the late 80s.
I mean, hey, it's probably just because the fan base might not want to travel all the way to Texas, during the holidays.
Well, the other fan bases have to do that.
I don't know. I'm not with all logistics of them going there or whatever. So it could be really up in the air for how that works. But I wanted to talk about the IU game because it was I was really happy with the way we finished that game, coming down from 24-20, blowing that lead to them. And I think Mendoza just proved himself that he is a finalist for the Heisman. I don't think, again, this game didn't really set the bar like he is the clear favorite to win this game. Win the Heisman. I think this just made him more of a candidate finalist, one of the top 3 finalists for the Heisman.
Yeah, I would consider him to be the Heisman leader at this point, but we still have games to be played.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yep. I'm not coming out here and saying that he's a clear-cut favorite, some people have been saying, but I think this game just proved, though, that he has what it takes to be on that list. I mean, if you're telling me that last drive did not prove anything, did not prove his worth, really, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was a remarkable drive by him. It started off with a sack, and then he just flat out delivered from then on. But also he got obvious help from his wide receivers. The last 2 catches on that drive were remarkable.
Yeah, and I don't even think that touchdown throw was even supposed to be kind of in that vicinity for him to catch it. I think he just kind of threw it up there just to see if he would catch it, because as I was listening to the game, they're like, oh yeah, he's probably throwing the ball away, and then all of a sudden the receiver comes down with a toe tap and he scores. So, I mean, that throw was really what's, I think kind of proved his case for being a finalist for the Heisman.
I am with you.
And then I do want to talk a little bit about the whole ACC and the Group of 5 situation here.
Okay.
I think it's pretty funny how the ACC might not get into the playoff this year, depending on, again, if Duke runs the table or whatever. But who would you say would be the second best Group of 5 team potentially that could get that spot over Duke?
Meaning past the American Conference champion?
Yeah.
So let's note this Hawaii score at halftime against San Diego State, that outside of the American Conference and James Madison, that San Diego State was the best option from the Group of 5, because going into this game 7-1 with a win against Cal, who of course beat Louisville tonight, but they're losing by 18 points. But if San Diego State's able to run the table, make a comeback tonight, run the table, finish 12-1 as conference champions, then they're obviously in the mix. So past the American Conference, of course, everybody's got their eyes on James Madison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think James Madison now is a lock after Memphis lost yesterday. But
they're a lock?
I think they are, Mark. I think they are. I mean, whoever wins the American is going to have a case too.
Exactly. I think, so that doesn't make them a lock.
But to me, I'm saying to me, James Madison.
Do we know what a lock is?
I do know what a lock is, Mark. To me, James Madison's in that spot right now.
Okay. They're not a lock. They might be the favorite, but to me, they're not a lock. You can call them a lock. It's a free country. I'm just saying they're not a lock. I would love somebody to track, and I'm not picking on you, Defiant, at all. You know, I love your support, and you've been here for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. I just find it funny how many times during the course of a week that I see either comments in the chats or in the comments to the videos or made directly to me about certain situations about this is a lock and this is guaranteed and there's no way that this team can do that or that. It's just kind of amusing to me. But anyway, I have not completely broken down the situation, and that American Conference is a free-for-all, and we'll have to look at the standings here to kind of digest what happened this weekend to get the latest. But it's all working in James Madison's favor. That there's no question about that, because there are 3 or 4 contenders for that, or at least there were a couple of weeks ago, 3 or 4 contenders for that Group of 5 bid out of the American Conference, but they have to play each other. Plus they play other decent teams from inside their conference, while James Madison has the luxury of being by far the best team in their conference. It's almost a situation like Liberty a couple years ago. That was the group of 5 rep to the New Year's 6, and they went undefeated, but they were not the best team in the group of 5.
Mm-hmm.
But they went undefeated because they didn't play anyone.
Yeah, I do remember that when like SMU won the American.
Yes.
And everything like that. They were just, because they were ranked ahead of them in the final standings for that. I remember all of that. I believe Navy's in first place. Yeah, it's Navy in South Florida right now.
Yeah.
In that American.
Well, we've got a 5-way tie for first place.
Mm-hmm.
And within that 5-way tie, let's see if you can remember probably better than I can who beat whom out of those 5 teams.
I know Memphis beat South Florida, and then
Yeah.
Tulane beat Memphis yesterday.
Yes.
And I believe USF beat North Texas.
No, I'm sorry to find. I'm talking about the 5 teams that are tied for first place.
Yeah,
so Memphis is not involved in that. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. I forgot about the Memphis. Yeah, I forgot Memphis has 2 losses in the conference. I thought they had one.
And technically Memphis could get their way back into it if there was just carnage everywhere and a bunch of these teams. Well, 3, 4, 5, 4 of the 5 would have to drop down to 2 losses for Memphis to have some kind of tiebreaker chance. So most likely they're toast. They're done because there still is 3 conference games left, but for 5 of those teams to have to lose a game. So it's more about who won the games between those teams.
Yeah, so I forgot Memphis already had a loss in the conference before yesterday. I thought
they lost to somebody bad, UAB, I believe.
I think it was UAB. Looking at this, ECU lost to Tulane.
Okay.
So that's Tulane's loss. And I don't
you
know
mean that's ECU's lost.
Yeah. And then Navy lost to North Texas.
Okay.
And then I believe let's see who I believe so USF they lose to Memphis. So that's USF's only loss is to Memphis.
Yep.
And who else are we trying to figure out here, Mark? Tulane.
Let's
see who Tulane lost to.
Tulane lost to Texas San Antonio.
Yeah. He lost UTSA, yeah. So, I mean, it's up in the air in that conference.
So really
everybody's just beating up on each other, really.
That doesn't really tell us too much. There's no clear situation where one of these teams beat 3 others or anything like that. So there's a couple key games that could factor in if those 2 particular teams tie for first place. But that's somewhat unlikely, but it's possible. So let's see who's playing this weekend. We've got in the American this Saturday, no Thursday and Friday games. That's a upset. We've got South Florida playing at Navy. So obviously that's an enormous game. North Texas has to play UAB on the road. Memphis plays East Carolina. So East Carolina is going to have to, of course, they're probably an underdog in that game, even though they're playing at home against Memphis. Tulane's got FAU. So we've got 2 contenders playing against each other, and the rest of them, if they hold serve, then we'll still have a 4-way tie after next weekend.
Yeah. Let's see here.
If they do. Now, it would be my guess that Memphis has a pretty good shot to win at East Carolina.
I would think so too.
So we may have a 3-way tie.
Yeah, because looking at some of these teams' schedules, besides Navy for South Florida, they play UAB and Rice. So they get 1 out, go 10-2. And Navy just finishes up with South Florida, Memphis, as Army is considered a non-conference game at the end of the season.
Yes. So I'm not real hopeful about Navy sweeping those two.
No. Maybe USF is at home, but I don't know about Memphis on the road. Maybe.
South Florida plays Navy, UAB, and Rice.
So to me, that's a favorable schedule right there for USF to win out.
Yeah. And we also have East Carolina in the mix, and they have Memphis, UTSA, and FAU.
That's also kind of pretty favorable schedule too.
Yeah, obviously this game's enormous between Memphis and ECU. And who did we not check out? Navy, South Florida, East Carolina, Memphis, North Texas. North Texas has UAB, Rice, and Temple. That seems pretty favorable too.
Yeah. It looks like all the contenders are playing the teams near the bottom of the conference for the last
pretty much, other than like 2 games, right? Other than East Carolina, Memphis, South Florida, Navy. I don't know that there was another game. Tulane's got FAU, Temple, and Charlotte. So yeah, that's how they all got to that place. Basically, they've played very few games against each other. Well, they have. There have been some games. We're looking at basically a conference of how many teams? Is it 14?
I think it's 14. I think it's 14.
And they're playing 8 conference games, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So they're playing 8 conference games, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Did I count that right? 13 teams in the conference. Is that right? 2, 4, 6, 8,
I thought
10,
it was
12.
even
No, it's 14. Okay, 14 teams in the
14.
conference. And they're playing 8 conference games. So, yeah, they can play 13 other teams in the conference and they only play 8. So everybody misses 5 teams.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of variance, like there is everywhere now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have the mega conferences. You're not going to play everybody, and you're going to have easy schedules one year, harder conference schedules one year. It's just all about the mega conferences and the effects of having these super conferences of 14 plus teams. But yeah, the American though is going to be a very interesting conference towards the end of the season here, because then you're going to get the tiebreakers, and not every and all that is going to be pretty interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course you have the teams that did play each other, and I mean, you have the tiebreakers head to head, but if some of these teams didn't play each other, I don't know what their rules and procedures are for determining who is 1 or 2, depending on the tiebreakers.
Yeah. There's not enough games between these teams the rest of the way for there most likely to be a clear 2 teams that are first and second. So most likely there's going to be a 3-way tie or 4-way tie for first place. Most likely.
Yeah. And again, I don't know what their tiebreakers rules are, determining who hosts and who's 1 or 2, or if they tied anywhere, and all that to determine.
I would think it's pretty typical stuff. Let's see here.
But again, I know every conference does a little bit different sometimes. So
the American Conference. Can everyone see that? No. So the American Athletic Conference, specific tiebreaker rules for football. Head-to-head, of course, but because the championship is between the 2 teams, so head-to-head tiebreaker often comes into play for second place. 2-team. Okay, we know 2-team. 3-team or more. For more than 2 tied teams involving a mini round robin of head-to-head results within that group. So then head-to-head will come highly into play, because if three teams are tied, most likely, this is just a generic statement, a general statement, but 2 of them probably played and the other 2 didn't play. And so that game is going to determine at least one of them, the winner of that game. If a tie cannot be broken within the mini round robin, the team with the highest CFP ranking among the they default immediately to the CFP ranking. Interesting.
Well, yeah, the highest team though. None of them were even ranked. I think Memphis was the highest group of 5 getting ranked in general. I don't think there was any team receiving.
Well, there's nobody that we see as ranked.
Yeah,
but they're going to have to rank all these teams to determine this. I don't know if this is worked out with the College Football Playoff Committee, that you have to rank our teams if we need you to. I don't know how far. Somebody made the statement last week. They called in that said it was stated somewhere that the committee ranks to the point that they include the first group of 5 team.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that during the show that they do. So
that. If they have to go to number 26, then they're done. But if they have to keep going until they get to 33, then that's where they have to stop their rankings.
Yeah, I don't think that was the case last year. Maybe they didn't announce it last year, because I know Boise State was always high anyways to be in that conversation. So again, maybe they announced that last year that was how the 12 teams going to work, but I don't know. But yeah, I do remember them talking about that during the show. So I don't know where they're where these teams are ranked in terms of, just maybe in the AP poll, or, rankings overall. Kind of get a glimpse of where these teams are at right now. But hey, it's getting down to the point now where they have to start considering all this stuff. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm not in that room discussing all these different tiebreakers and who gets in, who gets left out, or whatever. That's up to the people at the American Conference to figure all that out.
Well, I will say that it's pretty easy to see if you look at what these teams have done outside the conference to substantiate their worth. You've got teams like South Florida, who went outside the conference and beat Florida. They also played Miami. Now they got manhandled, but at least they played the games. Tulane beat Duke. Tulane also beat Northwestern.
Mm-hmm.
If Tulane is not, just based on first glance of those 2 results that I just mentioned, if Tulane is not the highest ranked of those teams, I'd be somewhat surprised.
Yeah, I mean, they surprised us before for some of these rankings.
They beat a mid-level Big Ten team, and they beat a team that's competing for the ACC championship.
Yeah.
Outside the conference. I don't know anyone who else has done that, anything close to that.
Yeah, and South Florida beat a 3-6 Florida team, and then the Boise State team is kind of in the middle of the pack, maybe leading the Mountain West.
Yeah, so actually South Florida, for a group of 5 team, their out of conference is pretty impressive too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I know, again, you talk about the Miami game, they got crushed in the Miami game, but beating Florida in the swamp and then just beating Boise State by 27, when everybody thought Boise State would be the representative again this year. I mean, yes, you could say USF beat a Boise State team without Genty, but I think that's still a good win. Boise State last couple of years has been up there in terms of the upper echelons of the group of 5 and made the playoff last year. So that's a good win for them too. I believe those 2 teams, though, I think do have the better non-conference. I know Memphis did beat Arkansas in their non-con, but I can tell you who else they beat to be considered up there too, and who else like North Texas or ECU beat, and kind of give them a chance as well.
Yeah, well, we'll see it play out. So we do appreciate you being here. Anything else, Defiant?
Nope, that was it, Mark.
All right. Have a great rest of your weekend.
You too.
So when it comes to deciding who plays in the conference championship game, I think it's utterly pathetic that these conferences relinquish their control and their power to the college football playoff committee. I wouldn't relinquish, as conference commissioner, my conference's control of who should play in the conference championship game up to some stupid committee that has nothing to do with our conference. That's pathetic. What is wrong with these people? You have a conference. Other than having to compete under NCAA rules and guidelines and have a relationship that's governed by all those things, a relationship with the other conferences. Other than that, you have a sovereign conference. Why are you relinquishing the control of your conference to some stupid committee that was made up 10 years ago that has a revolving door of participants? Some of the stupid things that these conferences do and some of the stupid things that go on in college football and college athletics, just that these committees, like this would have to be explained to me, that you are that incapable, you are that weak, that you are going to relinquish control of your conference. All right, we got Kanoy stopping by. Kanoy, what's going on?
Hey, Mark. So I just have a couple of points to talk about.
Sure.
First of all, I'm only going to talk about Hawaii for a little bit here, since I know you've probably heard a lot about them tonight.
No, it's all right.
But I am really surprised of how well they're playing right now against San Diego State, who going into this game were the number one team in the Mountain West. And I believe Hawaii's winning 31-6 right now, because they got a kick return touchdown to start the second half. And yeah, they're winning 31-6 right now. And I think this is the best that they've played all season, especially because their offense this entire season has always been good, but it's mainly the defense that has been letting them down, specifically last week against San Jose State, where they gave up 40-something points. They almost got the onside kick, but their defense kind of let them down. I'm really shocked about how well their defense is playing. They're getting turnovers. Their special teams is playing well. Obviously, Kansei Matazawa, he's the best kicker in the country by far. Hasn't missed a kick yet. And, I think this team, it's kind of a long shot to win the Mountain West, but I think this is, a really good season to build off of moving forward, especially because this is Mike Alahado's first season as a starter, as the quarterback. So I think it's, a good positive season that Timmy Chang could build off of in the future.
It all seems to make sense to me.
Yeah.
They seem to be improving as the season goes on. I'll say that.
Definitely.
Let's give it a look here. We'll post the standings here in just a second. So, of course, San Diego State's 4-0, but they are going down in flames right now.
Mm-hmm.
By 25 points. So I know that I did warn all you Hawaii fans about notching up a win too soon, but you've played half the quarter and you put up a touchdown. So the percentage chances of winning this game have gone up significantly since an 18-point lead at halftime. So it would need a major comeback for Hawaii to lose this game. So we would have Hawaii at 4-2. We bring San Diego State down to 4-1, and we suddenly have a log jam at the top, and Hawaii's got a shot.
Mm-hmm. And what else is also important is that next week Boise State plays San Diego State, so that's a pretty big game.
Yeah.
So, and especially if Hawaii, because they have the head-to-head advantage, assuming they don't blow this game against SDSU. they hold the head-to-head advantage. So if Boise State can beat San Diego State, and I believe Hawaii did lose to Fresno State, so they would need Fresno State to lose as well. But I mean, they have a shot.
Gotcha. So Hawaii. Okay, so there's the UNLV game and Wyoming. Okay.
UNLV, I think, are 3-2 in the conference because they beat. I don't know. I don't remember who they beat, but I think they're 3-2 in the conference as well. But I mean, I think they could beat UNLV and Wyoming. I think that's definitely possible.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I guess one more thing is that I think that the Big Ten at this point in time, I think they're better than the SEC. Like, based off of watching the games, Indiana, I thought they were going to lose to Penn State. I really thought they would. But I think that was probably the catch of the year so far, that to go up 27-24 with 40 seconds left. I don't know how he got his foot in bounds. It was a great throw by Mendoza because he was facing pressure up front. It was a good pass, but it was just a better catch. I think that's probably the catch of the year. Surprised he caught it.
So when you say that the Big Ten's better than the SEC, are you talking about just at the top among the best teams, the teams that should vie for the playoff? Or are you talking about top to bottom?
For the Big Ten, I would probably say just the top because they don't really have the depth that the SEC does. But I think, like, if we're talking about teams that can compete for a national championship, I think the Big Ten has more of those teams than the SEC. Because I think the SEC, you got Texas A&M, you got Bama, and then maybe Georgia, but then it kind of falls off from there. But like the Big Ten, you got Ohio State, they're real big contenders. So same with Indiana and Oregon. I mean, they could be contenders as well. And I was looking pretty decent, but they lost to Oregon. I think they got 3 or 4 losses, so they're probably out of it. But at the top, I think the Big Ten is better than the SEC.
Okay, I think that's a reasonable take. I don't know that you're right, but I don't think you're either definitely. I think there's more evidence on your side than against you. I think that you're leaning in the right direction. Most likely, that is a correct take on it. Obviously, we will see when both conferences have either anywhere from 3 to 5 teams. The Big Ten wouldn't have 5, but the Big Ten at this point would be happy with the 3. USC's got a chance, or Michigan, to be a 4th. The SEC more likely is at 4 or 5, but we will find out how those teams compete in the playoff. But yeah, I would tend to agree with you. I believe the SEC is the best conference. I don't think there's any question. 1 through 16, but the Big Ten is probably better equipped, especially with Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon.
Yeah, and I know your top 25 has not come out yet, but if you had to make a top 5 teams currently after this week, what's your say? What would be your top 5 teams?
Well, again, that'll come out tomorrow, but yeah, the 3 top teams in the country are the 3 top teams that are undefeated in some order. I don't see it much changing from what it was last week, which my top 5 was Indiana 1, Texas A&M 2, Ohio State 3, Alabama 4, and Georgia 5, other than the Indiana close call against Penn State has to be considered now versus Texas A&M going out and beating a top 20, 25 team in the country by 3 touchdowns. So I'll weigh that against possibly Texas A&M vaulting to number 1.
I would have to agree with that.
So Indiana at this point, although the Oregon win gains a little strength on Indiana's side, I'd have to look at Texas A&M's other better wins, which include Notre Dame, and to see if, just the resume. So if you do it the right way, which I attempt to, I think you not only have to evaluate this past weekend's game and whether they won or lost, but you have to look at all the other games again to see how they changed in evaluation from the past. So that's what makes it a bit tricky.
Yep. Well, thank you for having me on, Mark. I know it's really late out there, so I'll leave you here. Thank you.
All right, Konoe. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes, 1:30 Eastern, which for you folks, and I don't know how many are really around that were around years ago. We used to do this all the time. So we'd be here at 2:33, 3:30 in the morning on a Saturday night, Sunday morning. Ralph says the Big Ten will win the Natty. Probably all that matters. Let SEC teams have numbers 3 through 21 if they want. They aren't beating Ohio State. All right. And that coming from a Michigan fan. So Ohio State, of course, the Big Ten looking for a third consecutive national championship. And of course, as the storyline was built throughout the offseason, the narrative is that Penn State would fall in line with what Michigan did 2 years ago and with what Ohio State did this past season and build a super roster and have all those NFL draftees that could have gone to play professionally, stay for one more year, and win the national championship, but that was not to be. So it seems as though it's up to 3 teams out of the Big Ten. All right, everyone. We've got the ladies of college football showing up on Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So check out their show, give them a call. And also, I will be back on Monday. And I think we pretty much wrapped it up for the weekend. Our final 2 scores involve Sam Houston and Oregon State. And the embarrassment that is Oregon State football continues. Sam Houston is leading with 30 seconds left in the game, and they've got the football. So one more time with the scoreboard, it looks like this. Sam Houston leading at Oregon State against the Beavers in Corvallis, who partied after last week's win against Washington State in the Pac-2, but they lose to Sam Houston, it appears, 21-17 with just seconds left, and Hawaii moving into contention in the Mountain West with a huge win against San Diego State. We would appear to be so with a 4-score lead going into the fourth quarter, but you never know who's got the football. Can't tell. It appears as though San Diego State has the ball, but I don't see any kind of down or distance. All right, folks, we appreciate you being here. Luke and others, thanks for making Saturday nights fun, and we'll be back for week 13 starting on Monday.